paint situation going down or going on here?
It's definitely from before 1978, so there is very possibly lead paint in the door. Now, the door has been painted many times probably since the lead paint's been on there, and it looks like it's even been painted not too long ago, within the last few years. So there might be lead paint in there. It looks like it's been covered over. Now there is some paint chipping and deterioration at the bottom there, so once that starts to flake and chip, there could be lead paint in there. So if you're concerned about lead paint, then I would definitely do some lead paint testing to figure out where it is, so you're aware of it. But there's likely lead paint in several areas of the house.
Okay.
I did see some drill marks in the front porch that tells us the house has been treated for termites.
Okay.
Hopefully that means the problem's been taken care of, but we'll keep an eye out for them as we go. Might be good to do a termite inspection at some point, just to see what's going on with that, but that's pretty normal for a house to stage around here.
As far as the drill marks, is there any way that that could have been preventative, or it's definitely reactionary?
It's possible. Sometimes people will do the treatment just to be on the safe side, but most times where they do the drill marks, where they drill into the porch, it's usually going to be because there was a problem.
Okay.
All right, we'll come back to the upper level after we finish down here. Good rail there. Good rail there. And we'll just start making left turns and see what we run into. So the foundation's painted. There's a small little hairline crack there. Main water line's coming in the front wall. Looks like copper. There's some corrosion and a history of leakage on here. I don't see anything coming from the main there. They've sealed the hole up where it comes through with some spray foam. You might want to use something better than that, some sort of putty. They make different stuff to seal that up. Spray foam is okay for sealing air leaks, but if there's any moisture that could come through, that's not going to work too well. So you might think about that. You know, I don't necessarily think that there's moisture coming through, but there could.
So, in your opinion, also, when I come into the unfinished part, I definitely have, there's a smell, you know, it has that unfinished basement smell. Do you smell anything, and this is purely an opinion question, do you smell anything in this room? I didn't smell any, I didn't really have or get a smell with this room. I definitely got an unfinished basement smell in the other room.
Yeah, you can definitely smell a different smell in the unfinished area. Whatever the smell is in the unfinished area doesn't seem to be affecting this rear area as much.
Okay.
But I don't know what the smell is. I mean, to me it smells like an old house.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, but it doesn't have like a pungent, like there's no moldy smell or anything down here in this finished area.
Yeah, you, I don't, not that I know of now, you know, my nose is not a mold detector or whatever.
So it's just an opinion. Nobody's going to hold you to it. They're asking my opinion.
Okay.
I wanted to get a second opinion. I thought that that has the unfinished basement smell.
For sure.
In this area in here, I didn't really smell anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't really smell much on this on this finished side. Definitely there's an old house, old basement smell on the unfinished side, but you could feel the difference as soon as you walk into the unfinished area. It's like the smell goes away.
Right. What do you think that this big, to me this looks like a big piece of plywood.
Yeah. Let's see.
What do you think that's for?
I have no idea. No clue.
Have you seen that before? Because I don't think I've ever seen something like this, and there's no, we thought maybe it would be an access panel, but there's nothing to access behind it.
No, definitely not access panel, I don't think, but I don't know what it is for. No idea.
Could it be a shortcut for somebody that didn't want to put up drywall over that area?
I feel like there's already drywall there,
Behind
isn't there? Yeah, we could probably see from the side. Yeah, there's drywall behind it. This is what it looks like on this side.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's hiding anything. I mean, there's some water stains on the drywall, but those are probably ancient. We can test them with the moisture meter though. But I don't think you would even do that to hide some moisture stains, because you could just paint over it. You know, if I had to guess what that piece of plywood's for, you know, maybe something to hang stuff off of, like a
hanging
bulletin board, cork board type of thing. Just,
okay. And for these water stains, where do you think that this moisture came from? Do you think that it looks like it could have been sweating off of something? That just looks like a support beam.
There are some pipes above it, but it doesn't look like there's any signs of leakage there. If you look up to the subfloor up there, it doesn't look like there's any stains on the subfloor.
So that those stains on the drywall, I guess it could have been a leak from these pipes at some point, but they're not leaking now, so I'm not concerned about it. But I'll use my moisture meter real quick. We can see if it's wet. You got some stains on these walls over here. You know, this house and this drywall is so old that if anything ever leaked, it's gonna stain, and then it's gonna stay there forever unless you either paint it or replace the drywall. That's completely dry. That's completely dry. And there's probably a bunch of stains in the subfloor here too from old leaks. You know, there's not many houses that are this age where you'd get nothing stained. Let's see here.
It's all completely dry.
Yeah, so it's all reading the same as the dry areas. So, you know, there's some typical, you know, humidity in the air here, but there's definitely not any sort of leakage happening at this point. Now we can double check that after we run the water upstairs, but
just out of curiosity, while you have the moisture meter out, what is this wall reading for the moisture meter?
dry so far. You know, even when the foundation's painted, a lot of the time you can see the paint start chipping when there's a moisture problem.
Yeah.
So far, I haven't really seen that anywhere. And something called efflorescence as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it. Let's try around where that water pipe comes in. It's not coming up elevated. We can check the other areas, but everything's coming up dry over here,
Okay.
or not elevated at least. This is the main shutoff for your water. This is the front hose faucet shutoff valve there to winterize. That's your gas meter right there. With the shutoff right there. This is usually the spot where you find termite damage. There it is. Looks to be old. And you can see that there's a group of joists there that are sandwiched around it. But it's old termite damage. There's no signs of any activity as far as we can see. If you wanted the full clean bill of health on that, for sure, just get a termite inspection. But pretty sure that they would say that that damage is old, and there's already treatment marks in the front porch. So that was probably the termite problem that happened. That kind of solves that mystery of why did they treat for termites. The damage is pretty minor in the scope of things, and you can see that there is some newer framing right there. So they did some repairs for sure. So that's good to see. They've done repairs and they've also treated. And it doesn't look like it goes, I don't see any other damage anywhere else around here. Then we've got your other mechanicals over here, water heater.
The
on the
outside
slide on.
unit said 13. Looking at the serial number, this looks like 2013 also, right?
Yeah, that one is. It looks like the furnace is probably the same age as well. The water heater is 50 gallons. Looks like 2010, so it's 12 years old. Typically these last 10 to 15, so you're in the window, so it could break down at any time. Keep an eye on it. You do have a leak detector, water detector right next to it, so if it ever leaks onto that detector, the detector should tell you if you're home. Then you got your gas furnace with your AC coil here.
AC coil is 2013. Then the furnace is 2013. So we said ACs go 10 to 15 years. Gas furnaces will typically go 15 to 25. So you've got some time. Looks fairly clean inside. Doesn't look like there's any problems. There is a little bit of service history. They serviced the heat in 2021. They serviced the AC in 2020. Just keep servicing that every year. Filter's right here, 16 by 25. It's a pretty clean filter. Looks like it's been changed not too long ago. Just change that every 30 to 60 days. Nice little cover for the filter there. Definitely feels like the AC's working. We can check some temperatures, but definitely feels like it's working. The basement windows are older, probably original. You know, most people don't really open their basement windows very often, so whether or not you change those, we're going to be a matter of probably how much you use them. They're not energy efficient at all. They're single pane, but you're probably never going to use the window in this room.
Would you say that there are a lot of layers of paint on the foundation?
Hard to say. If I had to guess, I would say probably not. In a house that's this age, typically the foundation's probably only been painted maybe twice.
Okay.
Sometimes 3 times, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot of layers of paint on there. You do have another step crack if you look really closely running up there. It's a pretty small crack, so as far as foundation cracks go, you know, I'm not a structural engineer, so I can't, you know, tell you too much other than to say if the crack's less than 1/4 of an inch, then usually you're just going to monitor it. It doesn't look like any repair is needed at this point. You know, the house is fairly old and the crack is fairly small, so I wouldn't be concerned about that. I think that's it for this room. Do you guys have any questions about the mechanical room? No? Great. Outlet's working. There's your fireplace, masonry wood burning fireplace. Thank you. I don't see any mortar deterioration in the firebox. Let's take a closer look.
And also the
Looks
camera,
good.
does it look like it's still got a good amount of battery left? Left on the screen. Everything going.
How do I tell? Here, let me see real quickly.
It looks like it should be good.
Let me put that up there. Maybe you can see. So firebox looks good. No mortar deterioration there. We had talked about the work that's been done to the chimney up top. They've definitely been maintaining the outside. There's just a couple of cracks in the crown, but nothing major. The crown doesn't even need to be rebuilt. They've been keeping up with the mortar joints between the bricks as well. Unfortunately, the way that this smoke chamber is designed, can't see the flue at all, but I would guess based on how well they've maintained the outside and even the firebox, it's probably in pretty, well, I don't want to say that. Get it checked out by a chimney sweep, but I can't see anything that's concerning. You know, you're going to need a chimney sweep probably to seal the cracks in the crown anyway, but you know, that's very minor. And most chimney sweeps are going to tell you to drop a metal liner down there regardless of how it looks, so just be aware of that. We'll check some of the drywall over here for moisture. There is some cracking in the little window well out there. I would probably just fill those gaps in with some mortar. Not getting any elevated readings on the foundation walls though. Nice newer window here. So this is the basement window that you probably would use, and it's been replaced, so that's good to see. Double pane sliding window. Simonton is a pretty good window manufacturer. 2001, so it's 20 years old. But it's in good shape for being 20. I don't see any real problems with it. Looking good. You can take a temperature coming out of the vent here. 52 degrees. The AC is working. We'll have to see from upstairs, but definitely doesn't look like there's any access to the crawl space from the basement. There might not be any access up there either. We'll see. I think that's it for the basement. Looking pretty good.
Yep.
All right. I get everything. Turn this light back off. Then we'll just keep making turns. These are pretty nice windows here. They're high quality wood casement windows that crank open like that. They look like they're top of the line in terms of the manufacturer. I don't see, oh, they're Andersons. Yeah, so very nice, expensive windows that you've got here. Working perfectly. Very nice.
So another thing that we were thinking about is the crumb molding up here. Do you think that would that be a source of lead paint if you were to guess? How old is that look to
Hard
you?
to say. It's hard to say for sure.
Well, not to pin you down or anything, you know, to hold you liable, but in your opinion, if you had to look at it, if you had to take a guess.
I would say it was probably installed the same time they did the paneling in here. So it's probably from the 70s. It could be newer than that for sure, but the only way to know